I was gonna say, well, the other thing too, again, with all the snow, like the sun shifts slightly, and it's just like a different place is absolutely like lit beyond all imagination.
Do you remember my opinion on Kazu Steve from LMBM, dude?
Yes, yeah. If I could quote you from just a few weeks ago, this matchup could be described as utter woke nonsense.
Utter woke nonsense, yes, thank you.
And the fact that Yoshi is the hero here says something about where we're at as a society. Yeah.
This is dark woke.
Dark woke, yeah.
Now, of course, Syrup and Pharaoh has become a consistent Dubs team in Tri-State, of course. Their biggest long-running standings back at Collision 2022. They're trying to upset over Leo and Gluten. They're still running Yoshi and Ness. Now, right now, they've consistently found themselves where, again, we talk about the defensive structure of Dub's team versus the offensive. Pharaoh, obviously, the offensive player here, and Syrup, getting those zeros back up, playing the perfect supplementary role, this aggressive Yoshi early on.
Okay, I like that idea, throwing the anvil out to try and punish the grab right there. You know, normally you have such a long time of invincibility, but fortunately, man, that minecart, always a problem, especially in doubles. You can just throw it out, even if it's slow, and it can eventually grab the person who's involved in whatever teammate punish they're doing, and then you get a spectacular punish as well. So big damage here, though. Looking like blue team's got a very slight lead.
Setting up those diamond tools there, trying to catch Myth from out of the corner. Syrup in a forced situation. It's Kazuya again. The biggest difficulty with Kazuya and Dubs is being able to close the distance. Yes. Obviously, once you get up close, you find the same amounts of damage, but just actually getting in there. Especially because the character, as Steve, the biggest space denier in the game. Right. Especially with the Dubs team right there, though. Ramp trying to keep Myth safe there with those backers, trying to keep Syrup back away. But that big little, the plank getting back on the stage.
I love that, yeah. Walk the plank, parentheses positively. You know? Nice little grab right there. Fortunately, Pharaoh rolls into it, so no big punish. As we see a scramble center stage. Rap gonna opt to play a little bit back here. And you know what? Myth says, I'll join you. And somehow Pharaoh gets punished. That approach not really working out.
Pharaoh trying to force a situation with Rap in the corner. Not going to find that F smash. Rap with the big punish, though. There's nothing to scoff at, of course. Now, on the last stock, so you got to be careful, especially with this race drive being threatened. Still out of there. Big punisher from Syrup, though. Last stock on the part of Rap as well. Pharaoh's trying to get in there to threaten this Kazuya. That glowing red aura, you can't get too much done right there. You got to be careful. Unfortunate, going to be knocked down by that empowered minecart. Syrup the only one standing with those two stocks.
Yeah, just a little bit of iron too, so that's something you have to watch out for. Once you run out of the iron, a lot of your usual disadvantage tools are out of the window. When you're at that high percent, it can be dangerous. But a little friendly fire there does get punished. Nice little throw. Oh, doesn't get a spike. Good preemptive up special.
Myth still hanging on there perfectly in the forward air, out of the corner as well to represent a decent bit of a disjoint. Challenge in the corner, big forward air. Syrup challenge there from Rap, though. The double blue team takedown. Syrup, of course, not an impossible situation, but you're already facing off against the other Steve, and you have Myth running in there. It's a big wild card. Like, go, my son, hold down the neutral.
Please. And it's a really tough resource bar to deal with, too, from the point of view of Rap. So we have, oh, hold on, hello?
Oh
my God.
My God.
Still holding on. All right, so yeah, Rap has a ton of iron, which is a problem for Syrup, who was low, but that one little interaction gave you all the time in the world with the gold pick. So let's see what we can do here. Nice little minecart out, anvil as well. Not going for it. Gets that instead. Doesn't go for a big punish. What is going on? Gets the swing. Down to iron blocks.
Get those diamond tools out in the back pocket. The backer coming through. And the big demon laser. Syrup still hanging on. Back on there against charking through with those up tilts. With the big downer. Myth still isn't going to do it. Syrup hanging on. Race drive online. You got to be careful. Great ledge trump into back air. Coming out from Myth. And red team, against all odds, against their own aggression.
Despite their best efforts, they won.
There you go. Yeah, perfectly awesome. Honestly, it's, again, the completely stark opposite characters of Steve sitting in one corner of the stage, getting those materials back up, setting up those walls, versus Kazuya just running in and finding obscene amounts of damage.
That really was kind of the whole story. And, like, Steve, no slouch either. When Steve was given the opportunity, also tons of damage. So it was very tough to, like, kind of pick your poison in that spot where you're like, all right, am I going to try and get around all of this nonsense? Because Pharaoh did that a couple of times and got beat up for it. Got stocks taken in spectacular fashion by all of the different options that the red team had at their disposal. So if Pharaoh can maybe pick correctly a few more times, it could be all the difference. Unfortunately, it looks like Pharaoh didn't pick right at all. That's going to be probably a stock.
Oh my goodness gracious. Pharaoh switching targets immediately, saying, you know what, I'm going to challenge this Kazuya. Staying up here, jumping in on Myth, back in the corner as well. Honestly, the proactive game plan from Myth early on in this game is the very selfless Kazuya combos of being able to switch back onto the stage to help Rap to combo up with you and accentuate your game right there. It's perfect, but Pharaoh with the perfect egg toss follow-up there on the forward air. Rap still makes it back. It's saved by the minecart.
Yeah, I was going to say, probably wouldn't have made it back for the minecart up the hill. That, unfortunately, was short-lived, and 2 back-to-back ones for blue team. Answering back for Pharaoh.
He definitely didn't take the beginning of this game lightly. Like, get tired of being the pushover here. All of these nonsense characters. I have to be the hero standing tall. Trying to find the down tilt there, chasing back in. Red team being knocked back into the right corner. Pharaoh not only challenging the Kazuya there, but having the gumption to represent those longer lasting hitboxes against Steve. Knowing exactly what you want to throw out a minecart or something. Having the strong hitbox to challenge those moves.
And I'm loving, too, the options we're seeing from Pharaoh in the mid-range. We're seeing, like, the neutral special command grab come out. Especially, like, while mixing up the movement, doing, like, these fade-away aerials and then going back in with the command grab. And when you see Yoshi fade towards you, you're like, oh, I better bring my shield up. And that's exactly why that neutral special is so good. Nice little response there from Pharaoh as well to get that pickup. And we see Myth swinging for the fences with that rage drive, not able to find anything quite yet. And Pharaoh, big pickup, but gets only a straight hit.
Syrup definitely took last game more as a warm-up, finally getting the longer-ended combos that we know from him, especially with the conversions there into the down air. Finally, the team synergy that we know and love is finally coming to life here. Pharaoh running on the platform as well. Syrup with the follow-ups there. This is the type of oppression we know from Syrup and Pharaoh, and Myth and Rap are struggling a little bit to keep up right now, especially with Syrup at the ledge.
So they're throwing the minecart out. Syrup actually takes a straight hit. Should be able to make it back here with a creative route. And a little help from your friend. That wasn't crazy.
Makes anything possible.
Right? It's kind of ridiculous.
Friendship kind of broken, dude.
Yeah, hold on. Loki. That might be the real problem on the screen right now. Oh, big pickup.
Still not going to take it, though. Looking to make it back. Myth hanging on the ledge. The big minecart to air dodge back down. A challenge Myth standing right there. Rap going to be going back down. Last stock here. And now the blue team covering perfect. Yeah, what is Syrup doing, bro?
Waiting for an air dodge, but Kazuya not the type to air dodge there. Immediately swinging back. That should be just about a guaranteed edge guard here, as you have Yoshi covering just about everything but jump on, and then there's Steve covering everything else. Beautiful execution and a big change of pace in the last game. 3 stocks on blue team side as opposed to 0 from last time. Nice little change of pace for the Jersey boys.
Consistent pressure there finally. Again, the combo game coming to life here on the part of Syrup on the Steve. And Pharaoh, honestly, we talked about him being the more aggressive key role in this team. And game 1 wasn't really able to come to fruition.
Yeah.
But game 2, instead of just like the blind arrogance of running in, it's throwing out moves at Yoshi. It's throwing out and recognizing where Steve and Kazuya want to run in.
Exactly.
Throughout those tempering minecart with jab, being able to catch landings from Kazuya with an up tilt, and then still aggressive, not changing how you're approaching, but the type of moves you're using to stuff out the opposing approaches.
Another thing too is like those approaches stopped being so selfish, which isn't necessarily a problem sometimes, but like using a selfish combo, you're like, I can get a bunch of damage, but working with your teammate, you still get a combo, but it's even better.
Exactly.
Like we saw Pharaoh, instead of going for like a falling up air to start a vertical combo, like back air into the anvil that he saw Syrup warming up. And it led to earlier stocks, it led to a ton of damage, and I think it led to winning that game, frankly. So we'll see if they can keep that up, or if we're going to see some adjustments from Red Team, and maybe some adaptation and implementation as well. It's going to be on Hollow Bastion for Game 3, and I'm very excited to see what the play is. These egg tosses are working out.
To say, speaking of aggression from Pharaoh, getting into the mix immediately, taking a bit of damage, but enough for Syrup to get the 0 bar back up. Some decent tools to mess around at the beginning of this game. The Rap, though, will find the rebuttal of Syrup dropping out of that combo. And honestly, Myth and Rap are not messing around here in this game, getting some very consistent damage early on.
Oh, definitely. Okay, and I like that little pressure at the ledge. Not really working out for blue team, but still keeping the pressure up. These electrics are just racking up, though. still holding on. Looks great for red team, though, as they have blue team on the back foot here. Big swing was the first stock, and now this edge guard should probably lead to another one, but Pharaoh fight back from the Angel
Myth
platform.
recognizing how Pharaoh likes to drift and save his teammate of egg toss into drift into a nair or something of the sort, and catching it with a charged up smash. Recognizing Pharaoh's exact kind of chase down procedure of always dropping down from the air. That's huge in a situation like this. Myth recognizing how Pharaoh likes to get in and be able to play off of that going into the game later.
Oh, wow. It looks like we're going to see a nice little trade here. Somehow Rap still holding on to that first stock, but got Syrup going down as Myth does as well. Big opportunity here, but Electric doesn't get the turnaround, of course.
Catch the landing again with an Electric that time.
Yep.
Now Myth is confident. First time he was tempering with the upside. Now he's confident saying, you know what, I'm going to iframe through that with an Electric. Unfortunately, dropping the stock there. But speaking of drop stock, Pharaoh going out there and taking red team down. What happened?
Myth just kind of fell off of the stage, and then when Rap was stuck between, you know, having to get around the Steve who's already setting up an edge guard, Pharaoh said, you don't even have time to think about that. I'm coming after you, and I have a forward air with your name on it. And it was like the fastest delivery I've ever seen. Oh, my God, beautiful opening. I love that. Run in down tilt.
Now Syrup trying to catch the high recovery from Myth, breaking that wall, but not going to be enough off of that. Goes to the egg lay, but perfect down air to deter that approach from Pharaoh. And really called out with the back air. Last stock scenario. Race drive online for this Kazuya Syrup. Pharaoh trying to get him out of there. Not want to mess with that whatsoever. Goes super deep and finds the nair, getting Myth off of the stage.
All right, Rap trying to hide behind the wall, but there's not many places you can hide here. Try and fight out of the corner with some iron, but the iron is gone. On the back foot here, probably won't be able to touch the stage. The down air forcing a very odd situation, but it will be blue team who comes out on top of that situation. The fist bumps are out. The matches are phenomenal, Momo, and blue team will be moving on to play some more.
Honestly, I have to imagine the game plan of Syrup and Pharaoh as somewhat like a carrot and stick kind of thing, you know?
Okay. Yeah,
where
yeah.
you're throwing Pharaoh back in there, he's jumping in, fighting insane amounts of damage early on, also taking a lot of damage himself. You know, he's literally jumping between the two opposing teammates, taking like 70, 80%. Or, you know, it's like, oh, so Yoshi is setting himself perfectly, so I'm going to run in here and try to take the stock early on. And I have Syrup, he's that first 10, 15 seconds when Pharaoh found that damage, Syrup's in the back,
Yep.
get those materials back
Yep.
up. Now I have iron tools, I have something to play with. Now I have a minecart coming back in there. Oh wait, we're fighting Yoshi and Steve.
Yeah.
And Syrup, when you're focused on his teammate,